Hello, Stampin' Peace friends. I'm Mary Knabe. Welcome to my studio. I'm coming to you live on Tuesday, May 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So today I'm going to make two cards with you, and they both feature the Blooming Phrases stamp set. This product is new in our online exclusive, so it's not in the new catalog, but you can find it in the online store, Blooming Phrases. And it's a standalone stamp set. It does not have punches or dies or anything like that that goes with it. And I just love the different sentiments. I also love how you can do some mixing and matching of sentiments, plus the florals, etc. So let me show you the how to make the first card I've prepared for you. I'm going to leave my envelope here too and see if I can remember to stamp my envelope as well. Okay, I'm going to start with a piece of basic white that measures 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. Okay, 4 and 2 3/4. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some stems and flowers to this. And to do that, I'm just inking up that long, kind of curvy line at the end of one of the sentiments. And all of them are the same size. The sentiment is a different size, but that curvy end on the right end of each sentiment is the same size. So just pick one. And I'm going to start in the middle. And then to that, I'm going to stamp this flower in Petunia Pop. And then I'm going to stamp another stem a little bit lower on each side of that middle one. And then I'm going to stamp this image in Pretty in Pink. So that top flower, I'm matching up to the top of the stem, and then the flowers on either side. Okay, that was Pretty in Pink. Next, I'm going to add 2 more stems. And I'll go a little bit higher on these, a little bit taller on them. Get as much as that curvy line on there as I can. Looks like I pressed a little hard on those two. You can tell because they're a little bit thicker. So that's, me and my shaky hands, we must have rocked it a little bit, but that's okay. Now I'm going to add this image for some leaves on my tall flowers. The other 2 tall flowers, I'm going to use this and ink it with Daffodil Delight. Darling Ducklings would be another good color for this. It's just a little bit different of a yellow, and that's one of our new in colors. Okay, then I'm going to, where's my other leaves? Here it is. Then I'm just going to, oh look, I got an edge right there, darn. Darn, darn, darn. Okay, maybe it'll get hidden a little bit. And I'm just gonna add some more greenery, filling this in a little bit. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do on this piece of white is add just a little bit of balmy blue ink blended to the top of the cardstock. Remember, when you're using blending brushes and ink pads, you always want to start your swirling, your blending off the cardstock and then move onto it. And I like to go really lightly. I don't really like to press hard. Sometimes I put my finger here for control, especially with the large blending brushes. Just like that. And I'm done. And doesn't that little bit of blended ink make such a big difference? Oh, Julie, headed to the Mud Hens, Toledo Mud Hens game. My grandpa used to watch the Mud Hens way, way back in the day. All right, now I'm going to add this stamped cardstock to Granny Apple Green, which measures 4 1/4 inches by 3 inches. 4 1/4 by 3. And then I'm going to layer that onto, oops. Did you see what I just did there? I put my adhesive on the wrong side. So I'm just going to lay this down here for a moment. I typically put my adhesive on the piece that I'm adhering to something else, okay? So this Daffodil Delight measures, let me double check, 4 1/2 by 3 1/4 inches. And now I'm ready to add this to my card front, which is made from Petunia Pop. Okay, I will put some white on the inside, something light and bright so it's easy to write and read the handwritten notes. How about if I add, let's see, a flower to the envelope. And then I also want to stamp my sentiment. Looking for, here it is. So again, I'm just going to stamp a stem. And I'm going to stamp some leaves. And I'll finish off that flower. I'm going to use the Petunia Pop again. There, I think that looks pretty for the envelope. Okay, now to finish off our card, we need a sentiment. So I am going to use, is that the one? Just Because, Just Because. And I've cut this to 1/2 inch by 5 inches, okay? 1/2 inch by 5 inches. So it does go well beyond my layers, but that's okay because I think it looks kind of decorative. But if you wanted to shorten it and make it the exact width of your layers, you can certainly do that as well. And this green I'm using is Granny Apple Green. And I'm also going to add some leaves to the end here. Just like that. And then I will add this to my card front with some dimensionals. If you wanted to angle or banner cut the ends, you can do that. For this card, I decided I was leaving each end straight as it is. Then I'm going to line up the bottom of my sentiment with the bottom of the stamped white cardstock layer. Okay. And there is my completed card. What do you think? I love the bright colors. They're just fun, they're vibrant. Today is a super rainy, dreary day in Central Ohio, so it's fun to work with some bright colors today. All right, let's make a second card. And on this, I'm using, what is this? I'm drawing a blank here. What is this? Summer Splash. Summer Splash with Petunia Pop. And I've also am using a piece of Designer Series paper, okay? It doesn't coordinate with this stamp set at all, but I think it looks good with this stamp set, so that's why I chose to use it. You can use any kind of pattern paper that you feel is a fairly small print and would go nicely with the colors in it, okay? So I've got my Summer Splash card base that measures 8.5 by 4 1/4 inches. No, 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and score at 4 1/4. So 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored down the center at 4 1/4 inches. Okay. Next, I'm going to add a Petunia Pop layer that I've already embossed. For the sake of time, I went ahead and embossed it. And this is the embossing folder that I used, the pressed flowers, okay? And you know, we have two suites that have very, let me see if I can find them, very similar names, and I'm constantly getting them mixed up. So this is from the Floral Impressions suite, and that DSP is in the catalog. So this is from the Floral Impressions suite, is an online exclusive, very pretty. And, oh, that's not the one. Celebratory Sips. No. The DSP is from the Florals in Bloom. We have Impressions in Bloom, Florals in Bloom, all kinds of things in bloom. So this DSP is in the catalog. Okay, but I just think this is a very, very pretty background embossing folder. But while I'm gone next week, I will have a few project sheets that will be posted to my blog. And I'm using this to make super simple but beautiful, elegant cards. So you'll see more of that, the pressed flowers embossing folder coming up. So as I said, I went ahead and embossed this piece of Petunia Pop. It measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for now. Well, I'll wait on stamping that. With this is a 3 by 3 square, okay? A 3 by 3 square. And I want it in this direction, but for cutting purposes, I need to turn it once to the left. And I'm going to cut at 3/4 inch increments. 3/4 inch increments. So 3/4 of an inch, slide this up. 3/4 of an inch again. And the last cut should give me 2 3/4 inch strips. Okay. And I'm going to work with these in the same order that they were cut. Okay. And I'm going to add these along with a sentiment. So I'm going to do mine like this. Now, one option would be for you to have your sentiment in the center, which is perfectly okay. You could also have it closer to the top, or my preference is to have it closer to the bottom. So I'm going to start by adhering my strips, and I'm going to start with kind of a fairly good puddle of glue, and I'm not going to press that down hard because I might want to slide these pieces around a bit so I can make sure I have even spacing around and between my strips. And then I'm going to do the second from the top. And I can just lay this piece, even though it's not stamped yet, I can kind of lay this here as a visual, because it too, I want to be spaced evenly with the DSP strips. Okay, this is one time I'm using my multi-purpose glue pretty generously so that I can move the strips around and get the spacing just the way I want it. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm not going to adhere the white one until I stamp the sentiment. Now, I need to press these strips down, but I don't want to do it with my hand and risk making them slide around, okay? So what I'm going to do is just drop my silicone mat right on top, and I'll take a flat hand and just press those strips into place. Pam, I love the Franklin Park Conservatory. I have been to the butterfly exhibit, not this year, but I do love to go there with my family, by myself, take Riley. I do love the Franklin Park Conservatory. It's one of my favorite places in Columbus. And I wish I was going to be in town next week. We will be going on a family trip to Disney World, so I'm going to miss you. Otherwise, I would say, I'll meet up with you. How fun. And you'll have to let me know how you enjoy it. Okay, so for this sentiment, okay, this is a 4-inch by 3/4 inch piece of basic white cardstock. And the sentiment pretty much fits this, okay? Now, if I add it like this, I can certainly do that. But there's another option that I'll show you that I did with my sample. But this one I'll do a little bit differently just to give you 2 examples. Now, when I simply stamp the sentiment, things seem kind of off balance with the sentiment being so far to the left and so much empty space on the right. So I'm just going to fill in some of that empty space with some leaves. Just like that. And now when I put this here, it definitely looks more balanced, doesn't it? Okay, doesn't it? Pam, if your plans change and you don't go next week, let me know, and maybe the next time around you plan to come this way, we can meet up. I would love to meet you somewhere here in Columbus. One of my Stampin' sisters. Okay, so I'm going to add these layers to my card front, to the center with Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of my sentiment. And I'm placing these dimensionals so that they all are on the same level piece, okay? I didn't really want my dimensionals half on this and half on that because that summer splash layer is raised. So this way, having all my dimensionals on the same surface, the strip will lay a little nicer. Okay, and that's that. Now I said I would show you an alternate way to add one of these sentiments. This time I cut the white cardstock to be the same length as the DSP strips. So it is 3 inches by 3 1/4, right? 3 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So same size as the DSP strips. And then I kind of put that saying in the middle, and yes, that curved line goes off the paper, but it is quite all right, isn't it? So both of them have turned out really well, even though we changed up the way we made the, what am I going to do here? The way we changed up the sentiment. So this shows you a couple of fun uses for the blooming phrases stamp set. I add some flowers, or I'm just going to add the leaves, I think. Just like that. And there is my coordinating envelope. Hooray for me, no naked envelopes today. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think? Blooming phrases, are you adding this to your wish list? I hope so. I think I'm going to get an awful lot of use from this, and I would bet that you would have a lot of uses for the stamp set as well. And the fun thing about this is you can change up all these colors. I love the bright, cheerful spring colors on this gloomy day, but you can change up all the colors to anything you want. You can use many of our designer series papers for that second card. You can even switch out the embossing folder, but I do really love the pressed flowers embossing folder, and you'll be seeing more of that as well. Okay, any questions? Any questions for me? Bright colors, pretty, haven't used it yet. Okay, Margaret, I have a feeling you'll be using that soon. Okay, if you would like to, and I am behind on my mailings. I'm trying to get caught up by Friday. I'm leaving for Disney on Sunday morning with my one daughter and her dad, my ex-husband. The whole family is going, and we got this. We're all excited, and I'm very glad that Peter and I have the kind of relationship we do, that we can have this family trip. But anyways, 3 of us are flying on Sunday morning. Andrea and John are driving with Riley, and they'll be driving over the weekend to arrive by Sunday, early afternoon, and we'll all meet up then. So, and why was I even saying that? I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. But I'm trying to catch up on my mailings before I leave this weekend. That's what I was saying. Okay, if you would like to have your name in the drawing to receive one of these cards, please type in the comments now, blooming phrases, blooming phrases. I like to do that because it helps you and me remember the names of some of these awesome products. Okay. I look forward to seeing what you make with these layouts and the blooming phrases stamp set. So be sure and take a picture and post them here when you do, or send one my way, okay? This is Tuesday. I will see you on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for another Facebook Live demonstration. Until then, happy stamping and be good to yourself and kind to one another. Bye-bye.